My name is Shara Amlag. I'm a board member here with the Filipino community of Seattle, and I'm also a member of Pinaisa Seattle. I think we all should be honored to have someone who actually just flew in from the Philippines today, who will be sharing some pictures that actually experienced the typhoon firsthand to really let us know the gravity of the situation. And with that, I wanted to introduce Mike. And he has a PowerPoint and will be able to share personal stories of what he's seen firsthand.
I'm actually here for a couple of reasons, but first and foremost, to give you guys a feeling of what it's like to be there. I think some of the pictures you're going to see, you're already seeing in YouTube and Facebook and everywhere else. But I'm going to add some commentary to it to make it real to it, because no matter what picture you see, whether it drives you to tears or frustration, I promise you, nothing could possibly prepare you for what it really feels like to be there. We were fortunate. 70% of the city was underwater at some point, at some level, and I happen to live in the 30%. And I think that's the grace of God and the good works that my dad has done. It's basically a blessing on me. But I run a BPO, so I run an offshore company there, and 35% of our employees were affected and stranded somewhere, and we couldn't get to them. So this street was like this within 2 hours of the rains falling. The rain was falling so hard that it felt like the roof was going to cave in on it. You guys see that? Anybody have any relatives or know someone with relatives going to Cainta? Okay, that area. This is going in. This is what it looked like. Just notice the level of the water at this point. The reason everybody's walking is they've been waiting for hours trying to get home. It caught everybody by surprise. We know that the weather reports are very unpredictable, but this was ridiculous. Nobody knew it was coming. It was just kind of rainy, and next thing you know, it just came on strong. I know you've heard this before, but for those who haven't, 1 month's worth of rain fell in 6 to 8 hours. It was incredible. And that's what it looked like a few hours. Now granted, we're not very tall people, but I want you to imagine this for a minute. That's not clean water. Think in your head the nastiest water you could possibly think of. Multiply that by 10. And pretend that you just went to the bathroom with a very bad case of diarrhea and you shoved yourself in there. That's what it smelled like. So this picture does nothing for you. And they're wading through it. People were on top of their homes. Now, no matter how poor you are here, chances are you don't live in something like this. And when everything you own in your whole life and everyone you love is in one of those things, and you're on the roof and there's nowhere else to go, and the entire freaking government had 4 rubber boats that can fit 5 people each, but they were too busy meeting somewhere, some cabinet meeting, air conditioning. I'm sorry, but you know, if you're there and you don't see the government and people are dying and crying for food and water, there's just no leadership. So people are trying to get home. And this is before the worst. Now, who's been back recently? Okay, these are not small buses. These are big tourist buses. And if you think about the water line right there, that's pretty scary. People were still trying to get home. Even with diesel vehicles, they were clogging up. Now, if you've been to Manila recently, or if you remember at some point you were there, one thing I know you guys would remember is a lot of jeepneys, right? Everywhere. Because most jeepney drivers park their vehicles in these areas. When I took off, I think I saw 2 jeepneys. So now there are people trying every day, can't get home. The MRT or the trains that are running, they're running at 24/7, but they still can't obviously take care of all of the people that used to rely on the jeepneys. all the jeepneys were submerged. 18-wheelers were submerged. So you go to the grocery store the next day, because my wife and I heard what's going on. As soon as it was safe, we went to the grocery stores. And not only is it packed, right? I mean, everybody's buying off the shelves, canned goods, cup noodles, water, and rice. But they can't deliver any more food. Up until the day I left, which was Thursday, if you went to the grocery store, you'd find hardly anything on the shelves. And people were panicked because another storm is actually right on top of Manila as I speak to you today. More of the flooding. These are people trying to get home. I mean, people are desperate. If you notice, it's regular people that are just sort of helping each other out. And this, if you see the water, or it looks like there's a bit of a wave, imagine there's a pretty strong current, because then the rivers are raging. That's why they're holding on to that thing. And they're not holding on that thing lightly. Look how much he's holding on to that thing, just so you get a feel. This isn't waiting in a sauna or something. You've got some strong currents fighting, and it would literally, if she let go, it would pull her away. I want you to take a look at the children on the top of this picture. They're really, really the silent victims in all of this. These are people just trying to get home. And you can see the mud. Because there's no help, people are doing everything they can to float. You'll see other devices that people are using. Anything and everything they can get a hold of. And this is during the storm where these are folks that are trying to save each other because there's nobody there to save them. Makeshift boats. Can you see the current? The level there, just for you guys to get an idea, that's like the second floor. That's the third floor up there. Now these are the nice areas, right here. By the grace of God and nothing else, nobody got electrocuted and so many people were doing this. Nobody can explain it, only He can. Because there's no way to get to people. These are people begging for the boats or somebody to stop. If you notice by now, they're on the roofs. Much later in the storm, this is a lot earlier when they took this aerial shot, 80% of these roofs are gone. Many of these people perished because the waters actually went all the way up. And the rescue never got to them. They prioritized the people in the rich villages first. When I said people were making do with whatever they could hold on to that would float, we have a family driver, and that's not unusual there. I'm not rich. I just can't drive there. So it's a necessity for me to hire someone who can drive. He was texting us frantically. He lives with his 75-year-old mother and trying desperately to get on the second floor. And by the time, literally in minutes, houses there have grills, right, to protect you from robbers. But many people died too because the waters were going up so fast and they couldn't push it out. We end up pushing it out and then staying on the roof. And that feeling that you can't do anything about it. And they're up on the roof and the water is like within inches of them. And rescue never came. Now these are the rubber boats. I gotta tell you though, the cops who were there doing whatever they could, they were doing it out of their own heart. They were violating whatever orders they were getting. They were plucking people out the best they can with no equipment whatsoever. This car is actually floating, just so you guys know. It's not that the water is up there, it's floating. They have nowhere else to go. I don't remember in this case if they were all rescued, but at some point all of these guys are on top of that car. Again, please imagine what this water is like. That's the gas station, and folks, this boat can only take 5 people. I have no idea how they stayed afloat. This guy did not make it.